Hey everybody, I wanted to take just a minute here to kind of go over one of the most important things that we teach, probably one of the top 3 or 4 things that we teach in the school here with every class, and that is facing adversity or facing challenge. You know, one of the keys to success is being able to face challenges and learning to overcome them. Even if you don't overcome them, learning to kind of face them and give your best and not give up. That is probably one of the most important things for personal growth. You know, one of the things that we know from studies is that not just in children, but in adults, but it's really in the formidable years, like for children, is that if children can learn to face challenges and learn to face adversity and learn to change and learn to not back down, what happens is they start to learn to believe in themselves. They start to develop confidence within themselves. So one of the things is that by facing challenges, you start to develop what's called a personal growth kind of mindset. The ability to kind of say to yourself, I can do it. I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to keep on trying. The yes, I can attitude. Most parents, when I talk to most parents, that's one of the main things that they say about their child that they either want them to have or they're worried about is that, they're afraid that they're kind of timid, they're kind of unsure of themselves, they're kind of turned inward, and they don't want them to be kind of rolled over by other children who maybe have stronger wills or stronger personalities, but they want them to be able to stand up for themselves. The problem is those type of things only come from, or the ability to do that only comes from facing challenges and overcoming challenges. And the only way that you can really, this is really the only way that you can do that. But there's a lot of different challenges you can face. For instance, one day they are approached by one of their friends or someone of another strong-willed child, and they start pushing them to do something maybe they know isn't right, or just to bully them or whatever. And they can either stand up at that moment or they can back down. Whichever one they choose, that's the one that gets reinforced within them. The problem is, at that moment is really a this way or that way type of direction. It's really a gamble, 50-50. Maybe it's more or less one direction or the other direction, but you really don't know how it's going to go. So we take a different approach here in the studio. Every time your child comes to class, they are presented with a challenge to where if they do their best, they're going to be successful. And it's not based on what they do yesterday or tomorrow, or even what anybody else in the class is doing, but what can they do right now, and how can they build themselves? How can they get stronger? And we usually say it's like getting 1% better, just a little bit better every day. So rather than there being a big giant confrontation that kind of changes their, where they become stronger or weaker, we approach it the same way that we approach martial arts and exercise. They are giving challenges based on where they are today, and can you improve yourself? Can you build yourself by 1%? How many times does it take for you to improve yourself 1%, for you to be able to turn everything around? Think about it. How many times like that does it take? Well, we know that 180% is a complete half turn the other direction. So if we just go from that and we practice doing it 180 times, then what's going to happen is you're going to make a complete change in your personality, and your child will too. So how many times is that? Well, if they're coming to class 100 times a year, give or take, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, that's roughly 2 years. So roughly within a 2-year period, or by the time they get to about, brown belt level, red belt level, roughly halfway through their their journey towards black belt, then what happens is you start to see some changes in their personality. Now, I'll tell you right now, most parents notice changes right away within the first few months. But someone explained it, but we're talking about permanent changes. Those changes happen, someone explained it to me like this. They said it's like socks. When you take socks, like they have the elastic on them, you put them on, you stretch them out, then they go back. You stretch them out, they go back. You stretch them out, you go back. Stretch them out, they go back. And then eventually, after a while, you stretched them out so many times, you stretch those socks out, they never go back. They've been stretched so far, they never go back again. They go to the new shape. Same thing for us as people and children. We challenge them. They stretch themselves like, wow, I can't imagine that. Then they kind of pull back. And then we stretch them out again to reach that new level of understanding of who they are. And they kind of pull back and they question and say, what's going on? And then they reach again and they come back. They reach out and they come again. Until eventually they see themselves as that new person, that confident person that has done it so many times that now they believe in themselves. Now you have a whole nother person. So after a few years of training, what ends up happening is, and this is really the secret to martial arts, it's not just true for confidence, it's true for everything. Practicing, a kick or a punch over years, eventually you get stronger. If I'm going to the gym and exercising and I do it for years, the muscles get bigger. Same thing's true for confidence. As they're practicing that challenge over and over and over and over, eventually what happens is they become that person. They have stretched themselves to the size that they fill that size now with their personality. Now something different happens. Are you ready? Now when they're confronted by that bully or that person who asks them to do something that they know isn't right, that they know they're not supposed to do, they now have the confidence to stand up for themselves. They have the confidence to say, I'm not going to do that. And if that means we're not friends, that means we won't be friends. Why? Because they believe in themselves so much. They've faced the challenge so many times, they know the result. Listen, if you want to make a change for your child or for yourself, you have to be consistent in the challenges. And sometimes they're not going to want to do it. As a matter of fact, I can promise you, over the course of it, at one or two times, they're going to say, I'm not sure. And that's just another challenge. If you feel it's right for them, then it's something that they should do. And then they overcome that challenge. So that's one of the things that we do here. So anyway, I just want to give you that little bit of knowledge. I want to give you that little bit of insight as to how things work. And hopefully when you're watching them in class or you see them change, you can remember and say, oh yeah, Master Walker told me about that. Oh, I'm starting to see that. My real goal is to have them change the trajectory of their life, change the direction that they go. Our goal is to build leaders here, not followers, so that these kids can always do their best. We want to build strong students, strong families, and strong communities, and a better world. That's what we're doing. So anyway, I look forward to seeing you in class, facing those challenges and giving your best. We'll see you then.